What is up, everyone? I am Daniel from Michigan Aquatics, and today this is my video on how to take care properly of a betta. Now, my baby sister is crying in the background because she just got stung by a wasp, so don't criticize me on that. I just fed the 55-gallon. I'll do a video on that tomorrow. This is how to take care of a fancy betta. Number one is aquarium size. Now, I recommend 2.5 through 3 gallons, 3 gallons being the highest, 2.5 being the smallest, is what most bettas will prefer for a territory, but you could also get a 10-gallon, or none, more like you could get a 20-gallon and have 2 male bettas together, and they'll just claim different areas of the aquarium. So that's pretty cool. But basically, starting off, this is the Tetra 3-gallon tank, Tetra Cube. As you can see, Henry is getting mad at me because I'm really close to his bubble nest, which I've constantly messed up on accident when I clean it. Next up, substrate. It doesn't matter substrate or gravel, but I have substrate or gravel. It doesn't matter if it's sand or gravel. I have sand because I love the look of sand, and plants like sand a little bit more than gravel. But basically, first you buy your aquarium. We'll get into filtration and heating and lighting in a second, but I'm going to do substrate first. Obviously, sand. This is just play sand, very cheap. There's not a lot of it in here because I wasn't planning on having too much in here. He's sitting at the top like that right now because he's working on his bubble nest in the corner there. But this is a 3-gallon betta tank. It is from here to here it is 10 inches, and it is up and down a foot. And it's 10 inches by 11 inches by 12 inches, I'm pretty sure. This is the 12 inch, that is the 11, no, this is the 12 inch, this is the 10 inch, this is the 12 inch. Next up is filtration. Filtration, believe it or not, is very important even for bettas. If you want to keep a pristine colored betta and a pristine quality betta like mine is a Dumbo ear half moon. We'll get into species in a second. If you want to have a good looking betta, have a good filter. Now, for a 3-gallon tank, you're assuming, gotta get a 3-gallon filter, right? Wrong. Fancy tail bettas, if you're getting a male, do not like high flow. This is actually a 1-gallon filter. It comes with the tank. If you guys want it, sorry, the top of the filter is a little dirty. Comes with this little filter pad inside, and it's an oxygen-powered filter, meaning there's a little air pump right here in the back, next to a raccoon skull. Heating, this is a 50-watt heater. It is made for smaller aquariums, 2.5 through, I say 5. I used it in a 10-gallon, and it only put it up to 70. This puts it at about 80, with my room temperature being also about 83. But it's an oxygen-powered 1-gallon filter. And why put it on a 3-gallon? Number one, if you're only having a betta, which is what I recommend because he'll be happier alone, filtration isn't really too big of a problem, but it's still good. See, he's flaring up at my finger because he doesn't like how close it is to his nest. But fancy fin and tail bettas do not like a higher flow in their aquarium. As you can see, the heater is right there. It has not had to turn on in a little while. It's basically the perfect filtration and heating setup right there. Note that the filter is a Tetra 1-gallon filter. It comes with the tank. The heater does not. The heater is an older heater, but usually the older things work better than the newer things anyway. It's a Whisper 1 gallon. I'm pretty sure you can buy it separate from the tank if you want a 2.5 gallon instead. This filter would also do just fine. Lighting, bettas absolutely hate bright lights. Like the LED that's on this or a desk light, they will always hide to stay out of the light, which is why a lot of people have risen lights on their aquarium, like this one. This one is a pretty bright LED. It has 3 rows of bulbs, which each have 3 total. 3 rows of bulbs. Can you see the reflection? 3 rows of bulbs. 9 total. So it's risen about, let's see here, I'd say 3.5 inches, maybe a little under that, above the tank, which risen lights I recommend instead of in lid lights, however you say that, because your betta will get less stressed out. Bettas prefer no light, but light is good for plant growth and illuminating your betta. Really good lights for bettas would usually persist of a blue light, like a blue LED. Looks really good on all colored bettas, but LEDs I say are the best. But this tank, I'm pretty sure it was $50. The plant right there, this is a Anubias. Actually, we'll get to that in a second. But basically, this light, I don't think you can buy it separate. I think it comes with the aquarium specifically. So, yeah. Next is scaping. These are, we'll start with the rocks. The rocks are, that's a larger, thicker slate. And I have a couple rocks that I got from outside and I cleaned off. You don't need to buy polished rocks from the store, especially for bettas. These ones work perfectly fine. I think, I don't know if any of them in here were from the lake, Lake Huron, but, and I have some in my 55 that are, though, so. I also have a lava rock. Something that looks really good in here, what I plan to get for both the 3 and the 55 is Dragonstone. It looks awesome. Driftwood looks really good, but it takes too much work. You have to put way too much work into any sort of real wood, especially these days because they have dyes in them now and you have to filter out all the dyes. It's stupid. It really is. For plants, you can see this plant is a little dirty. This is a Anubias. I bought it from Moby Dick's pet store for like $10-15, you know. It wasn't extremely expensive. It was actually a little bit smaller than this when I bought it. So right now it'd go for, I don't know, like $20. But as you can see, it has a bunch of algae on it, along with my Marabou moss ball, which is also recommended for bettas. But Anubias grows really, really well in conditions like this. I'll tell you how plants grow in things like this in a little bit here. But you can see that they're both dirty, which I used to have a cleaner, and I'll tell you what that was, and you might be surprised on what it was. But they both work really well as natural filters, and they feed off of bacterias in the water, fish poop, and ammonias. Basically fish pee. So the smaller filter you have, the better your plants are going to grow and live. Which, as you can see, they're really dirty, right? That gets me into the next subject, which is tank mates for bettas. Don't put any fish with bettas. And it's not because the betta will kill it, it's because they'll kill the bettas. I used to have 2 cardinal tetras in here, and they would nip at his fins. I just got rid of them by feeding them to Frank, the peacock bass. But they were nipping at his fins, and that's why his tail is all messed up, and it still has to regrow, and it's slowly regrowing. Don't put tetras with them, don't put mollies with them, don't put anything in there with them, except for snails I have a couple Malaysian trumpet snails in here, which were completely accidental. Apparently they were in the bag with the plants. Bummer. But my number one recommendation for tank mates for bettas, hands down, I say definitely buy this. Shrimp. All species that get at least this long. Alright? Ghost shrimp especially. I recommend ghost shrimp, and I recommend you get them when they're this long because they don't live very long, but they are only a few cents. They're only like 27 cents a shrimp. I recommend you bring home 4 or 5 because more than likely a couple of them are going to die. But bring home 4 or 5 of them, put them in your tank, and watch them clean the tank like you've never seen before. Oh my gosh. See all this food debris on there? My ghost shrimp used to live on top of it. And anytime food would come down, he'd clean it off. And a lot of you may think, oh, just like all crustaceans, they're gonna hide. They don't. They don't hide at all. I never had a ghost shrimp that would hide in my betta aquarium. Even if I gave them options to hide, they'd always be out looking for food. They'd get on top of this plant and they'd eat the algae off of my anubias. The snail would help clean algae off of the rocks and eat dying plant matter. They'd sift through the gravel with their little feet and eat food that got They'd eat food that got stuck in the sand, and they'd clean off the marble moss ball. And you may think, well, Daniel, they'd eat the marble moss ball. No, they won't. They'll simply clean off the food because it's a little hard for them to digest regular old plants and stuff. Feeding for them, you don't have to feed them anything as long as you have plants that do catch food. They'll be able to eat just fine. The reason I say get smaller ones is because they only live for at the longest 4 or 5 months, somewhere around there. They don't live very long at all, so make frequent trips, but it's okay because they're not that much money. There's actually some brine shrimp left from this feeding. I'll give it to my betta. He likes it. Here, eat it. Come on, come off. Inhaled. Absolutely inhaled. That's a lot for him to eat. It's delicious though, ain't it, Henry? Yeah. Definitely get shrimp. Shrimp are amazing for your aquarium. Next up is choosing your betta. Now this can be very confusing, alright? If you're gonna have a hardcore actual love for keeping bettas, and you actually want more fancy bettas, they go from $8 to hundreds of dollars. Mine was about $35, and I've never stopped loving them. The personality on these fishes and everything is insane, and they will absolutely love you. There's placots, there's half moons like he is, there's Dumbo ears, which he also is, and then there's your regular Walmart bettas, which are indestructible. A lot of people say all bettas are indestructible, but fancier bettas have different needs and are susceptible to different diseases. A lot easier, like bloat and ick. It's one of the most. Those are two of the most common things. My last betta was a premium betta, and it got velvet, and eventually died. Sucks. Do not pick the betta that is sitting at the top. Do not pick the betta that's sitting at the bottom. Pick the betta that is swimming at the front of the bowl or cup, whatever it's in, going constantly like this. You know, just asking for food, giving a lot of attention to you. Buy that fish. Don't buy the fish that all its fins are closed and it's just sitting there not doing nothing. Don't buy the fish that's sitting at the bottom. Don't buy the fish that's sitting at the top not moving its fins at all. Buy the most active one, and if there's not a betta that fits that and isn't pretty enough for you, don't buy any of them. Wait. Trust me, you will eventually find one within a week. Hunting for the perfect betta is a lot easier than hunting for the perfect cichlid. So, because they're all awesome, just gotta find the right one. That basically concludes this. I hope you all found this helpful. Take my stuff into note because I have a lot of experience with betta deaths, betta sicknesses, betta diseases, everything. I've been through it all. Don't keep plecos with them. It don't work. Don't keep any fish with them except for shrimps. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later. like and subscribe.